Okay, welcome once again to the Brass Monkey Podcast, your backstage pass to artists who are bringing down to the iconic Cronulla venue. I'm your host, Adam Simon from Crowdcast, and today, a true architect of Australian rock, a visionary whose career spanned the semi-sonic sounds of Noiseworks, psychedelic soul of Electric Hippies, about 24 other bands and bands that he's formed and bands that he's played with. He's the most prolific man in Australian rock and roll, and the genre-blurring brilliance of his solo work as well is second to none. Known for pushing the sonic boundaries and bending the rules of conventional rock and pop and all places in between, Steve Balbi is on his way down to the Brass Monkey Friday, June 6th, one night only, and he's going to be there the day after. He drops a brand new track, No Place We Can Go, which is a collaboration with the amazing Ash Grunwald and Miranda Carey. It's an honour to have the man here himself. This is an icon of Australian rock. I'm so privileged to talk to him. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me, mate.
I do mean that. Like this, I've interviewed a few people from growing up and going to sing your shows dozens of times and so on. It is a real privilege to have you online tonight. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Cheers.
Let's start with the new track. Got this brand new track. It's going to drop a day before the show at the Brass Monkey. No Place We Can Go. This is with Ash Grunwald and Miranda Carey. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. How's that come about for
Interesting. Yeah, well, look, my manager was managing Ash for a little while, and he thought we'd be a good collaboration. And to be totally honest, I wrote this song for Ash. I thought it'd be great for Ash. He came over and he was really excited about it, but he ended up sort of passing on it. And I went, oh, great, I'll do it. So I pretty much just kept his solo and, his melody in the verse. And I called him up and I said, man, you sure you don't want to do it? Because it's a cracker. I reckon it'll be a banger for you. And, he's heading in a different direction. So I just sort of thought it's too good to just sit in the shelves. And I'm kind of doing this, I've avoided distortion and guitars for quite some time, just out of spite. And I just thought, I just want to do a record with distortion and guitars. They're really messed up guitar sounds, but it was the perfect time to do it.
Best distortion you want now with the whammy board. I was talking with Iota the other day, and he was telling me how he got to the guitar on the Mad Max shot when he was in there, and the wowie stick was was what triggered the flames coming out of it. Unfortunately, he didn't get to keep that. So that's a guitar I'd want to have for some distortion. Maybe.
Oh, man.
Good fun with that.
Two things. I love that idea, but I love Iota more.
Yeah,
he's just such a great guy. I've done a lot of shows with Iota, and he's a super inspiring guy, man.
Yeah, and he's going to be at the Brass Monkey weekend before you as part of the Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival. So birds of a feather flock together, all together down at the Brass Monkey. So
yeah, man.
You said you managed to stay away from that distortion, and you think of it a little bit later. Look, as a teenage boy, I loved the original Hot Chili Women, especially the video clip and so on back in the day. But I love the new version as well. It's got that stoner rock, that distortion to it as well. That's a great reinterpretation. It's almost like it's a brand new song. How was that a challenge for you, or inspiring for you to go back and redo that all over again?
No, look, once again, I was to get booked on a lot of these bigger festivals. As Steve Balbi, a solo artist, I've always aired on the fringe of commerciality. Because I was in Noiseworks, I was in Electric Hippies, and I just wanted to go out there. And I started making music solely just for myself. I found myself, and I realised that music was just about me making it and being as honest with my musical integrity as possible. And so I just avoided electric guitars for a while, That's not completely true, but that heavy rock sort of thing, I just done so much of it in the past, and just avoided it. But it was time to revisit it because I created this, or discovered, maybe even fumbled across this really super cool sort of stoner distortion that I love, and I call my own. It's kind of like a vomit spit box, and it features very heavily in this next record. And Ash is playing the solo through this device that I've created, and it's so cool, and I love it so much. So I thought I'd write a record around it.
What should you trademark that? Steve Balbi's vomit spit box. I think we need
the spit box.
For sure. So vomit spit box tour 2026. Here we go.
Yeah, I might call the record Spit Box.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Excellent. Steve, your career has taken so many turns. In some senses, it turns left, it turns right. In some senses, it's a roundabout. What's old is new again, and things like that. Is there a common thread that keeps you inspired, driven as a musician?
I feel I'm very lucky. I don't lack inspiration. I think I'm going to have one regret when I die, that I didn't get to make all the music that I've thought of in my head. I got 3 records banked up. I'm making this sort of Spitbox record, and then I got a Blood and Guts record, which is just, I broke my leg a bunch of months ago, and I wrote probably an album's worth of material just on my acoustic guitar like the old days. And so I want to do that next. And I got this project called the Legendary Dust Buckles, which is kind of Americana, but I want to make that record with, a live band on the floor. So they're my next 3 records. Try and get them done as quick as I can. Inspiration, I just have to go downstairs and start doing something, I think because I'm not on drugs or on any sort of influence anymore, it just seems to be on tap. And it's not always great, but I'm always excited by going back into the studio and either making a noise or doing some mixing or writing some lyrics I'm still buzzing on it like I was when I was a kid.
I've got kind of a musical background myself. I'm a lifelong fan, but always wanted to do what you guys do. And one thing I would worry about is the ability to turn it off, turn the tap off at night. And it seems, I think I'm hearing what you're saying. You've always got something in your head, or this tune or this song, or like film producers must have a certain angle and so on. I imagine musicians have exactly the same thing constantly. Would be scintillating but exhausting in the same sense, I imagine.
Oh, look, I've become very good at switching off. Like, I've got my studio at home now, and I can just go downstairs for an hour, muck around, think, got to take my son to cricket, stop, come back down. It's not so precious anymore, it's just doing it, and I've done these sort of, I don't believe in the term, but these masterclass sort of songwriting sessions, and I won't do them anymore. I think they suck. But you have people sort of going, I have writer's block. And what is it? You mean you just don't hear a song right now? It's not writer's block. It's just don't write a song. Go fishing, make a sandwich, do something else.
From a creative point of view, I've done that many times. Takes a while to figure that out, but I want to ask you, probably been asked a zillion questions about Noiseworks. Look, you're part of one of the most iconic bands in Australian history, and every pub I go to every Saturday night, those anthems come out, and I see 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds singing songs just as anthemically as I do people of my generation. But I want to ask about Electric Hippies, because I understand you've been re-recording with Electric Hippies. I mean, that was such a great band, and not only from a band point of view, but you also produced as Electric. Likes of Jenny Morris and Nico Costa, some fantastic things. What was that Electric Hippies period in your life like?
Well, the Electric Hippies started before Noiseworks, to be honest, and it kind of ended. It had its rise from the ashes during the last Noiseworks record, because the band was split up to go to America, write with hit writers, or stay here. So John and Stuart went to America to write with the hit writers, and Justin and I stayed here. And we got really jack of sort of working in this It was, we had an office in East Sydney, and we had this little 4-track Porter studio.
Yeah.
And we built this little box with lead carpet over it where we'd do vocals in, smoking cigarettes in this little box doing vocals at midnight so we wouldn't disturb the neighbours. And we got jack of it. And, we had a chat with our manager, and I said to him, what sort of song do you want? If I can write it, buy us a week in the studio. And he said, okay. And Michael Browning said, fast cars, rock and roll, and chicks. A tad tacky. But anyway, went downstairs and came up with this riff. Hot Chili Woman. Wouldn't be, it's just a blues progression. Hot Chili Woman, made it rhyme, put a backbeat to it, took it upstairs about an hour later and said, here you go. And he bought us a week in the studio.
Beautiful.
He flipped out, right?
Yeah.
He's gone, that's it. And bought us a week in the studio. And Justin and I went to the studio and started recording songs, which was the second beginning of the Electric Hippies. And then when the boys came back, Hot Chili Woman was a song that took the record to number 1. Yeah. We did a major sold-out tour, and Justin and I felt like it was the time to leave Noiseworks and do the Hippies, which we did. And, at the time, Nirvana was massive. So we went into the studio and recorded all our guitars on a little ghetto blaster just out of spite because everything was so big. 2-tail cloth drums.
Yeah.
We reckoned that if we could create 24 shit sounds and put them all together, it could sound really cool. And it really did. It opened our, we gave ourselves a license to experiment on a production level, and it's always stayed with me, a la the Spitbox. Just want to always try something a little different. It doesn't have to be world-breaking, but a little bit different.
That dreaded lure of America, I've got a lot of friends in the country, and they spend their life, I've just got to get to Nashville, and they come back, they're not the same. I've seen bands break up over it. I've seen artists walk away. That dreaded lure to America. Noiseworks was never the same after that trip. And obviously, I moved to Electric Hippies. It's like,
I got it. Well, I tell you what, I won't be going to America in a hurry
we'll
at the moment. But anyway,
we'll stay
luckily, I went to America a few times before the idiot got in, and Justin and I have just about finished the new Electric Hippies record.
Fantastic.
We didn't make it.
Year?
Sorry?
Is that going to be released this year or?
We didn't make it to release it.
Okay.
We made it because we love each other and we love making music with each other. The Electric Hippies broke up because, of my drug habit, my drug addiction. We were the most added song to German radio since the Beatles, and we just didn't get the opportunity to conquer it. So, it didn't end in tears. It ended in, we were upset and it was sad, but Justin was one of the best mates I've ever had. And he said, I can't continue watching you kill yourself. Get clean and we'll go back and we'll continue. And I just couldn't get clean. And so this is sort of like this is more than just making a record for us, So I reckon Justin's probably heavily contemplating coming back to Australia for obvious reasons. And the chances of it coming out is pretty good.
Then hopefully
it's wonderful.
The tour too. Possibly tag with that because it's been a while.
Oh, we're into it.
Yeah. The Redemption Tour.
Yeah, there you go. We're getting some good titles here.
Spitbox followed by Redemption. Okay. I'll talk to your manager in the morning. We'll square up something. Yeah. You said before, Steve, music isn't about perfection, but it's about truth. Does that play out differently when you're in the studio versus being on stage?
No, I think it needs to be the same for me. I think you need to be as authentic as possible. And, on stage, I don't go for perfection as in playing everything perfectly, but being on the edge of performance is perfection for me. Because when you mess up, it's a beautiful thing in that. I don't mind that. I don't mind messing up. I don't mind players messing up as long as we're listening and we're on the edge. I hate being safe. I hate a band being absolutely perfect. Oh, you guys are so tight. I fucking hate that. You guys made me feel something. And I think people only feel it when you're on the edge.
Cool.
In the studio it's a little bit different. Some things have to be, I'm not a virtuoso. I was just doing a solo today, I had this, because it's a guitar solo. Well, I haven't done a guitar solo in years. And I've got a really good feel, but I'm not fluid, I can't just go and start a solo and it'd be perfect. So I had to go over it a bunch of times to sort of learn what I was going to do, and then played it to the best of my ability. Yeah. Whereas someone like Jack Housen would come in and do a solo and just go, oh my God, that was incredible. But the reality of making records these days, I've got to make them pretty inexpensively, because they don't make you a lot of money. And I do love playing guitar, so I don't mind struggling over it for a while. But so, the solo is on the edge because I'm on the edge of my ability. But I had to go over it a fair few times to get it the perfect amount of wrong.
It reminds me of that quote, the late great Jim Steinman say, "Don't go over the top. You'll never see what's on the other side." And I think with certain musicians, certain feelings, and it's funny because the one person he recorded with, Meatloaf, never went over the top really. He was over the top personally, but he was so, you say he was so worried about messing up 40 years. That person played that key wrong. That I did some tours with, riddled with anxiety, chasing that perfect show. And used to say, hey, it was an awesome show. You sold out 6 nights in Sydney. That crowd loved you. No, someone messed up in the 4th song. It'd be one thing, and it just for one. There's a great documentary about it. It's just about him chasing the perfect show, and people are coming saying, "It was awesome. What's wrong?" It's a funny thing, especially with someone who was so over the top. But what about we're heading into the Brass Monkey on the Friday the 6th of June? It's such a great venue. Do you like smaller, intimate venues, or do you like the big stage?
I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer smaller theatre venues for my set. And it depends which set I'm doing. For my 3-piece thing that I do, it's a lot of storytelling, and it's very comfortable feeling. I've got so many stories, of my journey, a lot of the songs written intertwined with the drug thing, with being a father, with being, my take on life. I don't know how interesting a person I am, but people seem to like hearing the stories about the songs,
Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop the bomb or not? Let's die young or let's live forever. We don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in a sandpit, life is a short trip. Music's for the sad man. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever? Forever. Can you imagine when these races run, turning our golden faces to the sun, praising our leaders, getting in tune. Music's played by the madman.
What about you've been a famous collaborator with so many people. You collaborated again on this great new single, No Place We Can Go, with Ash and Miranda. Has technology helped you since you started your career? Has technology helped you expand those collaborations? I mean, you work with Bowie, for Christ's sakes, Has technology made that easier for you and more appealing to collaborate?
Yeah, I guess in the Bowie sense, for sure. I mean, I have met Bowie, but I didn't. He wasn't around on those sessions. I was singing on a film called Moulin Rouge, working with the producer Marius de Vries, and Bowie had 3 tracks that he wanted Marius to have a crack at, and Marius and I just got on creatively so well, and so Bowie sent the files of a vocal and his acoustic, and me and Marius did most of the rhythm section stuff, and I helped do some vocal arrangements and some bits and pieces, some other arrangements on it. But I guess that would have never happened if we couldn't send files across the Atlantic, you know. So
What a fantastic producer Marius de Vries, like produce Madonna.
oh man,
So people,
Yeah.
I want to see what your Rolodex looks like or your phone contacts. Slide down and see all these amazing
yeah,
names.
it freaks me out sometimes. There's some pretty cool names. I've even got Steve Waugh in there. So
Get it, India. Excellent. So, what can we expect from the show? You mentioned some stories and songs. Anything special? What type of? Are you taking a trio into the Brass Monkey, or what
Yeah.
can we expect? Yeah.
oh, the trio's wonderful because you know, I can do the acoustic solo thing, and then I got my piano player, and we can do a couple of duo things. And then I got the drummer, and I use a little bit of track, and then I go to electric guitar. It turns out like sonically just massive. It's really rocking. So it goes from wee little me to like monstrous me, which is so great. I love the versatility of that. I have a bunch of songs written down, but I have no set list. Just feel the room.
Yep.
You know, sometimes I pull out the odd cover, which
Yep.
not always, sometimes.
Big cuts.
Take some requests and, you know, sorry, mate, just drop my glasses. Can't see without them.
Brother.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, I love the Brass Monkey. It's like when I first got out of rehab 26 years ago, I spent a year labouring, the only job I've ever had apart from music. And then I got back on the horse, and I got the graveyard shift at the Brass Monkey. It was from 1 o'clock to 3 in the morning.
Graveyard.
And I tell you what, there's some pretty messed up people lurking around Cronulla at that time in the morning. But, you know, I played there for so long, and I remember one night I did my first set, and I got the phone call from my wife. You know, her waters had broken, and I went to have my baby. You know, so I'm emotionally attached to that room. I love Jad, and you know, he was making me coffees at that time. Now he runs the place, and I'm really proud of them, that they've got what's becoming an institution, because it's not hard. It's so hard to keep a business going for that long, especially a restaurant / music venue. So
Which is
I
hidden
love
off
the Monkey,
street.
man.
I mean, it doesn't have a street front. It's hidden down the stairs, and
I
it's in the
know.
Shire and so on. So you got to have 4 fingers to live there. It's all sorts of.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a really bad football team, but anyway, I go for Parramatta, so I can't say too much. But
No.
it is a special place. It's hosted some of the most amazing nights. I remember fantastic nights I've been there, and I live 50 k's away. But every time there's something on, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter, because you know you're going to have a good time. You're going to walk out with something unexpected, possibly new friends, new people to share this lovely thing we call music together, and that's what's going to bring us all together. So, last question before I let you go. I do appreciate it so much. I always ask the same question of everyone I meet, because I want to know what it feels like. What's it feel like to be Steve Balbi on stage in 2025?
It's liberating. It's because it's polar opposite to what it used to feel like. Before I got clean, I think I performed and played from my ego. I wanted to be loved. Now I perform to give this gift that I have as freely and honestly as I can. So I actually play to give now as opposed to receive. And it's a fucking cracker.
Well, we're still receiving the joy of your music and the liberation we're all going to get to share. And mate, congratulations. It's a challenge to do the things you've done to get clean, and the fact that you're still performing and still sharing your love of music that we all crave. You know, every single those of us who love music don't go a day without it. We're going to get to share your journey and your stories and your music all together when we come together. Brass Monkey on Friday, June. Tickets are now on sale. Links are in the website as well as the show notes for today, and links through Steve's socials and everything else so we can keep up with his latest work. But guys, do not muck around. This will be standing room only. Okay, so if you want to get there, have a great meal and get a chance to experience one of Australia's true rock icons. So, Steve, thank you so much for your time this evening. Look forward to seeing you in Cronulla in a few weeks' time.
I really appreciate talking to you, man. It was very nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Legend, man.